Welcome back to NTheRealestWay Podcast by Marqes Smith, where we talk about so many topics in the realest way. In this podcast episode, I want to talk about the importance of detachment. But before that, I want to talk about something serious that has been going on in my life right now. And I want it to be clear because I want people to understand that it's okay to have these moments of, I don't know where I'm going, and I thought I was moving forward, but now I feel like I'm moving backwards. And it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel like everything that you're doing, it doesn't seem like you're going anywhere because it's small or you're going backwards. But I promise in the future, you will see that everything that led up to right here, to where you are in the future, all that mattered, and it got you to where you are now. And you wouldn't be who you were today without those experiences. So I embrace it. I embrace the uncomfortableness that I'm feeling right now. I am so uncomfortable, but I know that there is no growth without being uncomfortable. Comfortability, you will never find growth in comfortability. You will never find growth there. Seek to be uncomfortable in a way to where you're growing and becoming a better person. We are wired to become attached to people and experiences. Whether you know it or not, us as humans, we are wired to just be attached and just hold on to things that really should have been let go. They're not things that we are supposed to keep, but to experience. And we need to let those things happen because whether you want to believe or not, you can't control it. You cannot control whether these things will stay in your life. These experiences, these people, you cannot control it. Those people are going to leave, whether you want them to or not. And I'm not saying that they're going to just leave, but I'm saying like life happens and people have seasons in your life. And you have to understand that those people, those experiences with those people, they're not going to be there forever. So you have to learn how to embrace that, to own that and understand that you may not be in my life forever, but you taught me something. I learned something from you. And to experience that, to understand, hey, that I feel that way, to cherish it. But don't let it become in a way in your mind to where you obsess or you daydream and you don't focus on what is now. It's important, like I said before in my previous podcast, it's important to look at the past because it got you to where you are now. But it's important to look at your present day and the future. But in a way to where everything is balanced. You don't need to be so focused on the past that you can't see what's in front of you because you're going to miss so many opportunities. You're going to miss so many opportunities. Let things happen as they happen because you cannot control them. Enjoy them and experience them. And that goes to the whole thing of people. I've done this before, thinking that you own people. There should be some level of detachment in your mind from that. In relationships, in any kind of relationship, but specifically in romantic relationships. But I'm talking about in terms of detachment and how we sometimes think that people have to meet us where we are to a certain standard, something that they're not capable of doing. Everybody's not going to love how you want to be loved, treat you how you want to be treated. That's where your self-love, your boundaries come in at, and detachment. And that goes for healthy relationships too. You have to understand that everybody's not going to be your everything. They're not going to be. So what are we going to do about that? Are we going to understand that they are humans and get that mindset, detach from that mindset of them having to be your everything and understanding that they are who they are? That's the conversation. That's the question you have to ask yourself. That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Because it's an important question. And I want to talk about situations like that happened to me. all, like I've said previously, I was in when I was in high school, I was in the band. I was in JRTC. I was doing all these things. And for some people, it was just something that they did, for fun. It was enjoyment. It wasn't something that really had a meaningful impact in their life. But for me, I found comfort in that, because when I would be at school and I would be doing all these events, I was happy. I was working. My mind was going. And I'm not going to lie, the reason why I was so invested was because life at home wasn't as fulfilling. So I found fulfillment in other places. And those people, in some ways, became my family. In some ways, those people were the highlight of my life. And I had to learn from right now that I would try to just fantasize and daydream about about these amazing experiences that I had with these people months and months ago, and that is long gone. I am in South Korea. The relationship will never be the same. So detach from my mind what I'm expecting it to be, because that's unrealistic. I'm here. I'm in a whole nother country right now. The relationship will never be the same. And of course, there's things that you can do to continue to maintain the relationship that you have with these people. But to understand and detach your mind from the fact that that relationship that you have with those people, it will never be that way again. And to understand that that is okay. To cherish those memories. To love those memories. But don't hold on to it to where you're so hung on the past. Because I'm telling you right now, when I first got here, I was in the mindset of AIT, and I loved it there. Of course, at the end, I was ready to go, but for the 4 months that I was in AIT, I knew those people. I had formed a bond with those people, and I was actually, starting to really be comfortable, really be happy with where I was. Then I moved. I'm in a whole other country. So then I come here and I'm like in this mindset of, oh, they're nothing like where it was. So everywhere I went, I was comparing myself and those people to how my previous relationships were in other places, trying to make them be what that was. And they will never be what that was. And when I first got here, I was like, oh, I don't like this unit. This unit is lazy. They're unmotivated. But the more I came here, the more I actually started seeing people. The more I seen that my unit was actually a really good unit. They were not bad. It was my mindset and me trying to make it into something that it wasn't. They're not the experience that I had in AIT. They will never be the experience I had in AIT. Those people are there. I am here right now. So the whole conversation of meeting people where they are in terms of other people, it's important for yourself. You're not there no more. You're not in AIT no more. You're not at basic training anymore. You're not in high school no more. You're in South Korea in the army. Those situations, those people are totally different. So to try to make people meet you where you are in terms of where you were, it makes an unhealthy relationship with them. A very unhealthy relationship. But the more I'm experiencing life, the more I'm understanding that, hey, some of these things, they don't cut it. I have to find a way to detach some of those things from my life because they're actually stopping me from the future, from moving forward. So finding a way to release it. Not to say, hey, that thing happened and, move on. I had so many experiences with those people in high school. Beautiful experiences. Experiences that I probably will never, ever experience again. And that's not to say that I will never have an experience that is fulfilling in that way. But that experience that I had will never happen again. And that's what I want other people to understand. It's okay to know that. That's what makes the entire thing better. It makes you cherish it more because you don't never know when something will happen. You may lose somebody. You may move. They may move. You never know what could happen. So that gives you all more reason to cherish those people, cherish those experiences with those people. This was something that was more recent, and I was trying to make somebody be something that they weren't for me. And I had to come to a level in my mind to understand that that person is not there. And I had to detach, not myself from that person, but I had to detach myself in a way to where I was trying to make them fit a role that they were not even trying to fulfill. So I had to detach myself from who I expected them to be and to understand who they were right now. And that's something that we all need to understand. I do it all the time. I didn't even know I was doing it until I actually became more self-aware. I would sit here and I would just expect people to fit the role, fit the mindset of who I was and who I wanted them to be. And they will never be who you want them to be. You shouldn't want somebody to be who you want them to be. Where's the love at in there? How are you actually going to love somebody? I could never find a reason to lie to my significant other, to do anything to where I'm not living in my truth. I tell people all the time, I couldn't be with somebody who was not living in their truth. I couldn't. And that goes for every aspect of my life. I could never be with somebody who is not fulfilling their purpose in life, or at least striving to fulfill their purpose. I can't be around people who don't want nothing from life. They're just here. You have to want something from this, because it's the only way to make all of this worth it. You have to. God has given me the greatest gift. A gift that sometimes I fail to acknowledge. Sometimes I forget that just living and breathing and learning and failing, all those things make everything that I do so meaningful. My highs of living, I could be at an all-time high. Just happy, not expecting nothing from life, but just to experience where I am right now. And out of nowhere, I hit my lowest. And there were days when I would hit my lowest and I wasn't as understanding as I was before. And I'm just going to leave it like that. But now I understand to embrace, to understand that my low is important just as much as my high. Being at the top and, just feeling it and just really living in there. To live where I am right now too, at a low. Because I know this is temporary. And I know this is just something that is just going to make me better in the future. And so I just want to summarize at the end of this podcast episode the importance of detachment. Not detachment in a sense of forgetting the entire thing or acting like it didn't exist, but detachment from the whole experience and trying to make everything right now be what that is. And it's not going to be that way. But to cherish those memories, cherish those people. And that also goes for the fact that people sometimes hurt us. And that's not to negate everything that we experience with those people, but to detach ourselves. Hey, I love you. I care about you. But we no longer need to be in each other's lives. So a detachment from that. That's what this whole podcast is about. This episode. Detachment in the realest way. Understanding that everything ain't going to be how we want it in our mind. It's not going to play out that way. God has a way of doing things in the most absurd ways that I could never understand, but I trust God. I trust God entirely. Be thankful for the highs of life, but also be thankful for the lows. The lows where you don't want to get up out of bed, but you find some way to. The lows where you feel like you're so defeated and there's no way that you could actually come back from this. Cherish those, because I promise you, once you step back up, once you put those feet forward and you take the next step and the next step, no matter how hard it is, you will come back a better person. And God wouldn't put you through half of the stuff that he put you through if it didn't make you better. If it didn't push you and elevate you and help you grow. So embrace it. Embrace it. Like I say at the end of every podcast episode, I give thanks to the utmost, to the highest power, God. I'm thankful for my friends, my family, thankful for the listeners on this podcast. I'm thankful. Each and every one of you make this podcast a success. I'm so grateful. I'm sometimes lost of words by how much I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Stay tuned for future podcast episodes. This is NTheRealestWay Podcast.